It's fascinating studying the ministry of the Lord Jesus Christ. And what we come to understand was that the Lord Jesus only came to Israel. He only came to preach to Israel. He only came to preach to save Israel from her sins. And this is a fascinating thing. But we come to recognise as the ministry went on that that mercy that was extended to those who loved God in Israel was extended to the rest of mankind. And this is how we get the two flocks of sheep, which I'll explain soon. And as we come to understand, the elect were chosen out of Israel. And this, again, was in fulfillment of prophecy. And these elect ones were not Gentiles, but they were Jews. But the Lord Jesus, what he said was in John, "And I have other sheep that are not of this fold. I must bring them also, and they will listen to my voice. So there will be one flock, one shepherd." So using the analogy of shepherds and sheep and flocks, the sheep were scattered. They were without a shepherd. And this is the compassion the Lord Jesus showed. So he went out in Israel to bring those back to God, those scattered sheep, to bring them back into the fold, to bring them back into the kingdom. And these were the ones who are the first flock of sheep, which the Lord Jesus was concerned about. And remember, the Lord Jesus when he first told the disciples to go and preach the gospel, he says, go nowhere among the Gentiles and enter no town of the Samaritans, but rather go to the lost sheep of Israel. So this was the ingathering that was taking place in the first century. The ingathering of the lost sheep of Israel took place. This was the first flock of sheep. And remember, he said there was another flock of sheep which the Lord was going to deal with later on. But first they had to go and look for those lost sheep of Israel, the ones who were out the leader, the ones who were scattered. And what he told the Samaritan woman, I was sent only to the lost sheep of Israel, he said. And but also the Lord Jesus had in mind the gathering of the other sheep who would hear the voice of Jesus and enter in. This was the great flock and the little flock of sheep that were gathered, but they would become one under Christ. And this is what took place in the first century. And those who heard his voice from among the Gentiles, once the mercy of God was extended. Because remember, the Father had said, will I really find faith on the earth when I return? And he did. He found people with faith. He found people of all nations, tribes and tongues who had faith in God, who had a love for God, and who recognized the Lord Jesus Christ when he preached the gospel to them. And the faith they showed recognized that there were many people in the world, in other nations, who had faith. And so their faith had made them well. And as soon as they heard the gospel, they knew who the Lord Jesus was. And so these sheep all came under as one flock. This is how there was two flocks of sheep in that first century generation. And it's a marvellous thing what he's done, how the Lord has done it. Yeah, but originally he only came for the lost sheep of Israel. So if you remember, the Lord Jesus didn't go to any Gentile nations. He gave the authority to go to Gentile nations, to the elect, to the apostles, and who he gave the authority to preach the kingdom, to heal the sick, raise the dead, etc., etc. But the Lord's commission, the Lord Jesus' ministry, was only for the lost, the scattered sheep of Israel. So he went round all of Israel, gathering those sheep back in back to God. And also the apostles went and gathered the other flock of sheep, the ones who he said was, I have other sheep which are not of this fold, and I must bring them in also. So this is what took place, the gathering of the two flocks of sheep. But it's very interesting when we can understand and perceive how the Lord Jesus only came for Israel, and the elect were chosen out of Israel in line with prophecy. And again, this was all fulfilled in the first century.